Ladies and gentlemen, fantasy sports coaches, welcome to GameDay Squad's YouTube channel. We are here for a new installment of our Women's Aussie Rules show. And as you can see, I've got some new faces with me, and I'm very excited to announce my co-host for this season, Jaiden Popowski and Bailey from Fantasy Fanatics. Mate, how you fellas going? Are you ready to talk some fantasy footy?
Good, mate.
Yeah, mate.
Yeah, let's get stuck in.
Let's do it. Well, what we're going to be doing today is looking at a player's performance from a fantasy perspective and other fantasy breakdowns to help you all get game day ready. And I think we're going to start off this show with our weekend wrap-up. So we didn't get to show our teams off last week and announce it, but Bales, I'll let you take it away because unfortunately you're starting us off, as you can see on screen.
Yeah, mate. I top scored, I think, out of us. With a bit of there's a bit of a glitch or something apparently with the North Melbourne players, but I ended up scoring a 1471 when I thought it was a little bit lower than that. But Nicole Bresnahan's score didn't count. But 1471, very very happy with that score to start off the year. Puts me. I don't actually know what my rank will be. It was 16 before Bresnahan, so maybe do I slide in the top 10? That'd be obviously fantastic. But yeah, no, good start. Very good start. Very happy.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. And yes, there was a glitch with our scoring. So all North Melbourne players for people's teams weren't added to our leaderboard. So we are going to show the leaderboard in a second after this, but the leaderboard that you're going to see is not going to be accurate for the actual results for the round. So what we did is we did some adjusting ourselves. We adjusted for what the score should have been and not for what they were. So Bales, you ended up taking it out, mate, week one. I'm coming for you, bro. Look, you can see you were just ahead, less than 100 points. We're coming, mate.
Before recording, I didn't actually know about the glitch, and I was saying, mate, I'm coming for you. But turns out I already overtook you, so we're switching it around. So, but I'm having a look here. So, like, Tent was only 48 points ahead of me, depending on if anyone above me had any North Melbourne players. So, potentially top 10 would be very nice. But nevertheless, top 20, very happy.
Exactly right. And for me this week, I finished 13th, or at least it's saying I finished 13th. I have a feeling that people will jump me. I don't think I had any North Melbourne players play in that game, and I'm going to assume plenty of people behind me did. So yeah, 13th, 1,396 for the round. But that'll probably take me out of the top 20 when it's all said and done. So yeah, plenty of work and improvements that need to be done, but I'm confident I can do it. And Jaiden, you made, unfortunately, third this week, but not by much.
Yeah, very close. 2 points off. And that put me at 31st for the week, although I did have an Emma King in the forward line. Great score to come on as a silver. So, yeah, up from 1,300 to just 2 points behind. And, yeah, not too far behind. So hopefully I can catch up sooner rather than later.
Mate, I'm hanging on for dear life with that 2-point lead. That is for sure. Alrighty, fellas, before we get into our brand new ramped up show, we're going to show off the leaderboard. As we said before, this is actually going to be incorrect. This is not what it's going to be. But I thought, we're doing the show. We may as well shout out who have made it this far, excluding the North players. So, yeah, 1,574 points would have won your classic competition, or at least we think, and 1,967 for our champion competition. I wonder how many points will be added on. And it was a pretty good round considering, the likes of Garner, Kearney, a couple other players that haven't been added to our totals yet. So what do you fellas think? It's pretty competitive.
Yeah, well, there's plenty of sort of relevant North players. As you said, Garner, Riddell, Carney, even like a Bresnahan, a few people got in defence like myself. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how much this changes with the top 10. And yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Excellent effort to get 1574 when I'm sitting here with 1300. Not really sure what went wrong, but yeah, and it's good to see that Tony's Legends is on the champion comp as well. So it's actually not too big of a gap between the best in the classic and still in the champion. So obviously some changes to come, but yeah, that's a ripper score.
I reckon. As the season goes on, I think the people in the champion one that have maybe got more diamonds and platinums and even a few legends out there, I think they might start to see the gap open up as people open more packs each week. But it's good to, as you said, good to see someone top the classic and also be in the top 10 for the champion one as well.
Yeah, well, hopefully that is some of us, if not all of us, next week. Got some improvements to make. Bales, you look like you might be the best shot so far. But let's move it on. We've got a new show. If you have been here before with GameDay Squad, with our Aussie Rules show, we're going to do things a little bit different. I've got a brand new team, brand new show. We've got to do it better and bigger than ever before. So we're going to start it off with a brand new segment. It's the Emojtrix, which we're going to go through. What we do here is we're looking at a player's performance from a fantasy perspective, but assigning some emojis to indicate how well they played. So we've got some collective ones we're going to do, tally up for the year, and then we've got some individual ones that we picked. But fellas, I might start with you, Jaiden. I want to know, who is your fire emoji for this week?
Yeah, fire emoji. It's the one to start us off. For me, it has to go to Jasmine Garner. She's been in elite form, and it was no surprise to see her continue that. She ended last season really well, and she's still very, very on fire at the moment.
Love it. And Bales, who was the most lit player for you this week? Is it different?
Well, I will shout out Bonnie Toogood, who was my high scorer for the week with 148 points as my gold in my forward line. So shout out to her. But I'm assuming I'll just do this sort of from any player because we haven't built our clubs up as much. But I think it's so hard to go past Georgia Prasparkas, so I'm going to give it to her. I know for a fact she got 147 fantasy points. I'm not exactly sure game day squad points, but she would have been top scorer for the week, I would imagine, and she was everywhere. So I think that the fire emoji is perfectly put to her.
And I'll tell you what, I agree with you so much that I have the exact same person. Georgie Prasparkas was my most lit player for the round. Huge score. Was, not very happy that I didn't have her. But as I said, I traded for her. You boys know, everyone doesn't know. But moving forward, I'll be getting a bit of Prasparkas in my midfield. But let's move it on, Jaiden. I want to know, who is your stock down emoji? Who's not trending well? Who are you concerned about?
Yeah, stock's down for Brianne Moody for me. I don't own her, but definitely in a lot of GameDay Squad teams with that massive average last year, number one ruck. You'd think she could continue, but as flagged in the preseason, as flagged before round one, she will be spending more time in the forward line, and that's what we saw in round one with Jess Good taking over most of the ruck duties, and stock's down big time.
Oh, spicy one, and I love it. What about you, Bales? Who's stock down for you this week, mate?
Yeah, the Moody one's a very good one. But stock's down for me. It's probably a bit more of a joint one for a couple of players. So I'm going to go the Saints mids. I talked about it last night on our live Twitter space, Tom, that I just don't trust Nick D'Alessandro and those Saints mids. There's just so many people floating through there. Like Hannah Priest was in there a lot on the weekend. Ty Smith, Georgia Patrikios, Jamie Lambert. There's just way too many mouths to feed. So I'm going to say all those Saints mids that you're considering. So if that's a Patrikios, a Lambert, Ty Smith, I think that Priest is different. She's defender, so I'm not going to include her. But those actual mids in game day squad for St Kilda, I think it stocks down for all those.
Yeah, couldn't agree with you more. Would have been a tough watch for the St Kilda fans, but I'll tell you what, Kangas fans would have loved what they saw from the weekend out of their midfield. And for me, it's Ebony Antonio. Now, this is going to be rough, coming off a massive injury. But, last year she showed a glimpse of how good she can be. And being forward eligible, I think people sort of saw her as a bit of a dark horse to take maybe a top rank this year, but didn't start off the season well. That doesn't mean I'm giving up on her. I think there are better times ahead. But for round one, if you were a fantasy coach that started Ebony Antonio, I know things are stocked down for you. And that's okay because, sometimes it takes a bit of time to get back into form. But now I want to know, Jaiden, your rocket emoji. Who took off this week, mate?
Yeah, I don't think it's a massive surprise, but the rocket goes to Ella Roberts this week. Breakout performance. We saw a little bit of it last year, but this is exactly what we will come to expect from her, I think. Best on ground, massive score, 112 base game day squad points, and I was stoked to have her in my forward line.
Choice. Bales, mate. Who exploded for you this week?
Now, I'm actually going to switch this up because I want you to go first before me because I've got two players. I'm hoping you've got one of them so then I just can focus on one. So if you can do yours first, that would be easy for me.
There you go, mate. I'm happily will do that. Bonnie Too Good for me. She was, as they say, too good. She was fantastic on the weekend, mate. She dominated in the forward line, went down back early to help secure the win. But from a key forward to have 20 plus disposals and just do the damage that she was doing all over the field, I want all of that. And she absolutely exploded. And, she had a great 2023 campaign or season 7 2022 campaign or season 7, but this 2023 looks like it could be even better, which is saying something. So yeah, she's the one that exploded for me. So Bales, who was your other pick?
So unfortunately, you didn't take one of the two that I've got. So I'm going to have to speak, unfortunately, about both because I can't actually split who I'd be giving the rocket emoji to, which, funny enough, is very different for me because I'm so used to having the rocket emoji with the men's fantasy being like to rocket from to lift, but the rocket in terms of exploding. I think Bree Davey starting the season off, 157 GameDay Squad points. Obviously missed all of last season with a knee injury. She came back. We were all a bit sort of nervous heading into the season with a bit of a hamstring niggle. Might have been playing a bit more forward time to ease in. But she didn't ease in at all. She just went absolutely ham, especially in that first half, and went monster. But then I also want to give a bit of a shout out. Actually, no, I'll do the next. I'll do it for. I should do this play for the next one. Actually, I'll make it easier. So Bree Davey gets my rocket emoji.
Jaiden, mate, that leaves our last emoji. It's the money bag emoji. This is a player that people need to start getting now before they get too expensive. Who's your nomination for round 1?
Yeah, a bit of a smoky one here, but with the money bags, we want someone who has started to go well, maybe a little bit under the radar. So I've picked Mia King from North Melbourne. Finished the year last year really well, a few 80s and 70s, and started off really well this week as the third highest scorer for North Melbourne. So, look, I think you want to get on now. I think she's 22 years old, so she could be the future of the North Melbourne midfield.
Mate, I love that choice. How good did she play on the weekend? But Bales, I'll throw it over to you with the exact same question. Who's a player that you're looking at that's going to be too expensive?
I think Moneybag Emoji's got to go to Laura Gardner. So shout out to Liam from Free Kick, his girl. Laura Gardner went pretty well on the weekend with 100 points, 50-point last quarter. And then in terms of game day squad points, I believe she had 112, if I'm not mistaken. I'm just double checking that is correct. And yes, 112, yeah. So she went really, really well. And I think people are still going to look at Laura Gardner and go, oh, that's not one of the names. It's not a Bowers, not a Marinoff, not one of these big names. So she might have just had a big game. But I think the people that watch the games and include in know that she's going to be a midfielder for Sydney. And if you can get on her now, she's going to be very, very valuable to have in your forward line for the whole season. So I'll go Laura Gardner.
Mate, I love that pick so much. I totally agree. My money bag emoji for the round is Laura Gardner because if you don't know, you're going to know very soon about how good she is. She just fills the void that the Sydney Swans had so perfectly inside that midfield. She's a ball getter, she's a ball winner, and she knows what to do with the footy as well when she can get her hands on it. So yeah, she was massive for the Swans on the weekend, helping them secure their first ever win in the AFLW, which was exciting and totally deserving of the money bag emoji. But that wraps us up. That'll be the 4 set emojis that we'll do. We'll tally up the scores by the end of the season. Prasparkas, and Gardner out to an early start with 2 votes each for 2 of them, and the rest are all up for grabs. So can't wait to see how that all unfolds. But Jaiden, I've told you to go out, get 2 random ones and nominate. Do you have them for me? And who have you gone with?
Yeah, so I've got 2 here. I'll start off with a bit of a clock one, I guess, emoji. Bit of patience required. Have a wait, just see what happens.
Okay.
This week that goes to Charlotte Thomas from the West Coast Eagles, eligible as a forward in GameDay Squad. I'm sure quite a few people would have had her on field this week. She did not so great against Freo, but I'm optimistic going forward that she can bounce back if you just be patient with her. So this week against Freo, she's playing in defence, and last year that was the toughest defensive matchup. This week, she's got the easiest defensive matchup. So look out, she could be instant bounce back if you keep her in.
Love it. Yes. What about number 2? Who have you gone with?
Yep. I'll give this one I'll call it a repeat logo, I guess. I'll give this to Hannah Priest. So we saw at the end of last year, she moved into the middle, kind of a little bit of a tagging role, but she's been in the midfield mix at St Kilda. She stayed in there again to start off the year and scored pretty well. So that's just a repeat from last year, finishing it off the year in the midfield, and she's starting there again. So could be a great option.
Yeah, it goes bang, bang. Love it. Priest, look out. But Bales, I'll ask you the same question. You got 2 emojis, 2 players. Who have you gone with this week?
Yeah, so the first one, I'm going to go with the face palm emoji with the head and the face palm. It's got to be Cara Bowers. I was so happy recording last week with Callum on my live stream, if you guys watched, packing a silver Cara Bowers, and I was like, yeah, I've got a leg up on people to start the year because not everyone's got a Bowers, and it was a silver as well. And then I hear the news that she's laid out on Sunday and had to bring in Rowley, who only got 56, which unfortunately, so it probably cost me, could have been a decent amount, maybe 80 points, which would have made, well, I don't know people around me if they had Bowers, but I could have finished even higher. So unfortunately, Bowers gets that one. And then moving to my second emoji, I don't know if there's one that you can do with that's under the radar emoji. I don't know if there's one exactly. But I'm gonna let's go with it. With under the radar, I'm gonna go Amy McDonald because people talk about Georgie Prasparkas understandably this week with a huge performance, but her partner in crime in there, Amy McDonald, quietly got it done as well with 140 game day squad points on the weekend. I was lucky enough to have her in my side, and looking at my midfield, she was the only bronze that I had there, and she actually top scored. Out of all of my 5 midfielders, and considering she's a bronze and the rest of them were gold and silvers, I was pretty impressed with her performance. So for me, she gets the under the radar emoji, so whatever that one is.
Love it. I'll take you through my 2. First of all, I've got a satellite player that is on my radar big time. It is Ali Morfitt, the ruckman for the Sydney Swans. I thought she played fantastic on the weekend for the Swannies. They just got a new recruit to the team, and gosh, did she impress in her debut performance. And if I'm not mistaken, it was against her old team in the GWS Giants. So, yeah, came out big time. Did have a favourable matchup, though. It just sort of seemed like she was the biggest player out there and that no one was going to compete against her to win any hitouts all game. So I would love to see how she goes against other ruckmans like Edmonds. But for now, mate, yeah, she's on the radar big time and is someone I'm going to be keeping my eye on because she could be a point of difference player throughout this year that's going to help me win some matchups in Game Day Squad. And my next one, I'm going to go a little bank emoji coin. I don't really know what to call it. It's a bank stash, someone you should be stashing away and keeping an eye on. Someone who had 28 disposals, 21 of them were kicks. It's Naeem Kelly, and she killed it on the weekend for the Adelaide Crows. She came out really hot, really early, and you could tell that she just has a different gear to everyone else. When she went into that 6th gear, just blazing speed, heading inside the forward 50, and with a big leg as well, nearly had a 45, 50-metre kick for a goal right as the game was starting. So, yeah, she's someone forward eligible in Game Day Squad, scored at nearly 100 Game Day Squad fantasy points over the weekend. So if you're getting that sort of production from a player, you've got to be keeping an eye on them because they could be really, really good by the end of the season.
I packed a gold one of her last week and I didn't put in my lineup. So safe to say she's in there now.
Yes, touche. But all right, we're going to move it on, fellas. We're going to get to a new segment, and I'm actually going to take it away with this one. So you guys can sit back, relax, and let me do my thing. But guys, I've got a brand new segment. It's called the Bronze Squad, and I'm going to take you a little trip down memory lane. For anyone who's ever played RuneScape before, yes, that is a RuneScape character. Yes, that is bronze armor, and yes, it's the best in the game. If you know, you know. So Bronze Squad, what it is that I build the team essentially I build the perfect team every single week. So it's the high scoring players in all of their positions. I know it's a little bit confusing. You can see silvers there, but that total score that you can see is their bronze tallies. 2,128 points this week. The Bronze Squad starts off with a bang. They're flexing on everyone. We know the scoring's incorrect, of course, with the leaderboard in North Melbourne. So, you know, some of the teams will be a little bit more competitive than what it currently is against this bronze squad. But that total right there is enough to win the Classic and Championship competition, and you didn't even need to have a card above silver. I feel like that's just super impressive, and then I'm going to continue to do this all year. So that's 1 for the bronze squad, 0 for everyone else on GameDay Squad, and we'll see how that goes for the season. But yeah, as you can see, my little man there saying, bronze is good, right? Hell yeah, it's good. It's good enough to help you win both competitions this week. So yeah, love it. Love it. And, bronze squad, and people talk about bronze cards in GameDay Squad, and some people don't value them, but they can be the missing piece to going to victory and glory. So definitely don't sleep on the value of your bronze players. You'd rather have a better bronze player than average to below average gold or silver, anything along those lines. So nice and quick, very direct. Bronze squad has us covered. But yeah, that's the bronze squad wrap up for the week. And we're going to move it over to another new segment. Bailey, you're going to take it away, mate. Do your thing, brother.
Yeah, so a bit of a transfer market analysis. So normally I'd sort of record it a bit here, but sort of we're going off the cuff this week for the opening week. But it's probably just taking a look at some of the players that had breakout performance on the weekend that are going to be probably worth more money on transfer market. So if you can maybe snap up a good deal, that would be obviously ideal. So number 1, I know Jaiden talked about it before, but Ella Roberts is one that obviously went bang on the weekend. Great for Dynasty because obviously very, very young. She's going to be obviously a superstar in years to come if she's not already, and she'll be very, very valuable to your sides. Another one I mentioned was Laura Gardner, who, probably a little bit still under the radar after just the one game, but the people that, if you know with Laura Gardner, if you can pick her up for a good deal, that would be, again, a very astute bit of business there because she'll be very, very valuable in your forward lines. The other one I'm going to go to is Bree Davey. So people saw that she obviously missed all last season, maybe forgot a little bit about how good Bree Davey is, but if they watched Friday night, we know how good Bree Davey is, and she was immense. So if you can, again, she'd be another great pickup and one that's going to be worth more on the transfer market. The fourth one, and I'm going to go through 5, so I've got 2 more here. So Georgie Prasparkas obviously went massive, and we know from last year that she is a very good asset to have in your side, and she is going to be expensive now, and I think she's going to continue to rise in price because of how good she started the year. She's probably not going to get 150 plus points every week, but she's going to be a very, very consistent performer. And then the other one's probably one that a few people might just go that don't quite know, might list up. So just have a look, and it's Kiara Bowers after missing last week. So a few people might just sort of frustration, list her up and go, nah, I don't want Bowers anymore, which if you're doing that, you shouldn't be doing that because someone's going to pick her up. So if you can get a bit of good business there and pick up a pretty cheap Kiara Bowers on transfer market, that would also be another very good bit of business. So so they are my top 5 transfer market analysis picks of the week.
Some might call you the transfer market master, Bales. Well in. Love that analysis. You know the thing that I am most impressed about with Georgie Prasparkas, she's 20 years old.
Yeah.
And if you don't know about GameDay Squad, your players you keep from year to year. So if you can go get yourself a Georgie Prasparkas, as Bales was saying, she's going to be expensive, but gosh, you could have her for the next 10 years in your midfield dominating, which is a very exciting thought. But let's move it on. Our next segment, Jaiden, you're going to take it away with this one, mate. Rip in.
Yeah, I call this segment Pop Out Picks, and that kind of sounds a little bit like my last name. So if you get a bit confused about how to pronounce my last name, maybe you can remember Pop Out Picks. So the idea behind this is I want to find some players that you could potentially already have in your squad sitting in the reserves that you might not know about who could actually play really well and could be actually worth putting on your field. So I'll start off in defence with Maddie Scarlin. She scored 76 this week, which is great for a defender. We saw massive struggles in defence this week for scoring, my team especially, and turns out I had her in my reserves and I didn't even know about it, so she's definitely on the field now. But that could have gained me quite a lot of points. And she took a few kick-ins. She's only 22 years old, so if you have her there, you might want to put her on your field. And yeah, the depth in defence isn't very good, so I think if you have her, you should put her on your field. The next one I'll go with, we've mentioned her a couple of times, but Ash Riddell in the midfield. A former absolute gun in terms of fantasy in Season 6. Little bit of a drop-off last year, so she might not be front and centre on people's radars for the starting 5 midfielders in GameDay Squad, but I think she definitely should be there. And we saw it on the weekend with 119 points, 29 disposals, just everything you want. So her and Garner, formidable duo, and I'd be more than happy to make sure you have one or maybe 2 of them on your field. And we'll move into the forward line now. It's obviously very popular this week, but Gardner in the forward line. I was privileged enough to have 2 of these cards. I had a bronze card and a silver, but I was silly enough and I kept the bronze card on the field without realising I had the silver. So make sure if you have Gardner, you need to put her on your field in the forward line. Definite midfield role, 112 points, 13 tackles is the most pleasing thing about her score on the weekend. And Sydney are a young team. They need people to step up, and the fact she's eligible as a forward in GameDay Squad means you should definitely have her on your field. So that wraps up the pop-out picks for this week, and stay tuned for more players that you might not know about, but you need to put on your field in GameDay Squad.
The gang's back. Well done. How good was that? Nice little variety in there for everyone. Some good fantasy analysis as well. You love to see that, but we're going to move it on. We're nearly done, fellas. We're nearly done, but not before we do GameDay Squad's Pack of the Week. And yes, we are bringing it back. We want to make sure that we're shouting out people who are opening up packs. And where you can submit your packs for Pack of the Week is on the Discord. And what we'll do is we'll alternate each week for a different theme. But I'll start it off this week, fellas, and I'll get the theme into next week. But I've just gone best pack. But I've had a bit of trouble. And I'm going to show you why I've had a bit of trouble. And I actually haven't decided on a winner. We're going to decide right now, together, who's going to win Pack of the Week. So I'm not sure if you're ready, because get ready for these packs. If you open up packs like this, you would love GameDay Squad even more than you already do, because I just can't seem to get it even close to this quality. But here we go. Here we go. First of all, we got a legend, Bonnie Toogood, sitting in the left side, which is, doing a bit of heavy lifting, but I don't know if any more lifting needs to be done in that pack with how good of a card that is, a 1 of 1, and how rare. And then on the other side, we got Kiara Bowers and we have Hatchard Gold in the same pack. That's essentially 2 of your top 5 mids locked in right there for the season. So fellas, have a quick analyze if you want. Look at all the depth, everything you want to do. But I'm going to ask you in a second, which one deserves Pack of the Week honours? And I need a response.
For me, both are obviously. I'm not getting anything like that, so I'd love them to be ones I'm getting. But as good as the legend is, which is crazy that I'm not going to be picking a legend card because the Bonnie Toogood legend, it looks very, very nice. But I've got to go the other pack with Bowers and Hatchard Golds, because having those 2 golds in your top 5 mids, and the thing is, having 2 golds, you can play them in both the leagues, so the Classic and the Champion leagues, because 2 golds, you can fit them in the NFV bronzes, whereas the Bonnie Toogood having a legend, it's going to be quite hard to fit other good cards in, so you'd be using that only in a Champion one. So because the women's footy fantasy on GameDay Squad's fairly new, I think the golds and lower are going to be more valuable for point scoring. And the fact also there's a cheeky Karen Peterson there as well, who's going to be quite valuable there, having her in your defensive line. So for me, I'm siding with that pack. But shout out to the Bonnie Toogood legend owner, because Penrith, mate, you would be very, very happy.
Yeah, the Penrith, but Jaiden, this might make you might secure the win here for Prison Mike, who opened up that beautiful pack. What's your thoughts? Who are you giving the edge to?
Just looking through this, I think from a squad building point of view, you probably want more players, more options to put on your field. I'm not really saying that from the pack on the left. As good as too good is too good. The only other option I can probably see there, Kirsty Lamb you might want, but she's a mid only, so probably not as many points as you would want from a mid. Mackin as a forward, pretty decent, 88 points on the weekend, so that's an option. But apart from that, I don't really see much that I would want on my field. If we just compare to the other side, Bowers and Hatchard, obviously the main ones. You could put Peterson in defence. Ellie McKenzie, pretty good, hype player, I guess. Like, when she gets the ball, something happens. So, potentially there's a future there. And I believe it's Lister from GWS. She played pretty well on the weekend. So, yeah, just purely from a pack point of view and a squad building point of view, in the early stages of GameDay Squad AFLW, I'm going to pick the one on Prison Mike.
Oh, all right. Prison Mike, congratulations. You have taken out our pack of the week, and if it's any consolidation, Penrith, I would have voted for you. It didn't matter what else was in that pack. Just being a GameDay Squad player myself, knowing how absurd that is to get a legend, but then also get one that's, top of their position, was a fantastic pull. So I don't think they're going to be too upset anyway, because they're sitting on a legend. So
if we're voting for years to come, when you build up your clubs, you've got all these cards, that's going to be very valuable to have a legend there. And if you can get a couple of legends in the Champion 1, when people in maybe 2-3 years' time, when we've got stacked clubs, those legends are going to become even more valuable, because you might be able to have multiple in your one team. And really, if you've got multiple, there's not going to be too many people catching you. So, so Penrith, mate, I would be very happy sitting there with too good for not just this year, but when you can start going into the Champion League as well.
But fellas, there we have it. That wraps up our first ever episode of GameDay Squad's Women's Aussie Rules show. I've had a bloody blast, and it's good. First one's out of the way, get the cobwebs out, the nerves, but we got bigger and better things coming every single week. I've locked in these two absolute legends of blokes with me for the entire season. So this won't be a one-off. We'll be seeing plenty more of them. I'm going to pull up some links down below in the description and some pop-ups right now on the screen, probably that way somewhere, or maybe that way, I'm not too sure. It's going to be their stuff. Jaiden does heaps on Twitter. If you haven't seen his profile before, the first thing I'd be doing after this is going straight there, following his Twitter and looking at all the different posts that he makes, because he releases some of the best analytical stuff you can get that no one else does. So it's very unique information, and you can't get it elsewhere. And then Bales, my boy, he's got his own personal and his Fantasy Fanatics channel where he does live rooms before the round, after the round, get up to date with all the players that are coming in and out. You don't have to do the research. Let that boy do it for you, because he knows what he's talking about. So definitely smash a follow, a sub as well for him. And if you are new to the channel, smash a sub to GameDay Squad. Let's get it, boys. I'm excited. Any other final comments, stuff you want to leave everyone with today?
No, I'm good. I think we covered everything.
Yeah, we straight up. We say less, bro. Well, thank you so much for tuning in if you have. And we'll catch you all in the next one. Peace out.